Hey guys, Eric here, joined by Roth to talk about some Game of Thrones. Season 3 finally began, so let's get into the premiere.
Very exciting.
We're so psyched to have this show back. There's a ton of characters to deal with. So King's Landing, a lot going on as usual. Tyrion, he unfortunately has completely lost all the power he had last season.
Tywin's a dick. I think that you mentioned this earlier. We got to see this other side of him last season with Arya, and that was great. But now we're reminded that he's really ruthless, especially when it comes to Tyrion, when it comes to his children, anyone other than Jaime. But really, this relationship with Tyrion is so heartbreaking to watch.
Yeah, it's like Tyrion is obviously trying to just, he says he wants, to be congratulated. He does want what's due to him after helping with that battle, and he's not getting it.
And it's what's due to him by his birth. But
yeah.
He's once again called a monster. He's told he killed his mother. He's told he will never get his hands on Casterly Rock. And now we want to see how he's going to rebound from this.
Yeah.
And sort of deal with this relationship with Tywin. And also, we see that Cersei is a little bit nervous about what Tyrion may say to Tywin, which reveals a lot about her relationship with her father.
Right. Right now, he's not saying, hey, I think my sister tried to have me killed, but that could come out at any point. Speaking of Cersei, there's some interesting dynamics going on with her and Marjorie.
Amazing. I love the scene with her and Marjorie because it shows their sort of like different leadership styles, and I think that Marjorie is incredibly calculated. She is very, very smart. But so going into the orphanage, yes, I believe that she probably does have a good heart and things like that. But really, that was an incredibly calculated move to get the people back on her side, back on Joffrey's side, back on the side of the throne. I thought it was a brilliant move. And I know that Cersei, when she said, oh, I know she knows what she's doing.
Right.
I know she knows what she's doing too.
Yeah, Marjorie seems to be a character to watch this season. It's a very interesting sequence, exactly like how much is this working the room, how much is genuine, and the fact that Joffrey, at first he's like, what the hell is she doing getting out at this point? But then he seems to kind of like what she says, and the fact that being charitable could maybe be good for him too. So yeah, she's pulling strings.
He has a little crush on her too.
That's what it seems like.
He has a little crush on her, so that probably means a beating is somewhere near.
Let's hope not. Sansa, the former person who was going to be marrying Joffrey, meanwhile, she is given an out by Littlefinger, who says he can get her out of there. But there's also a warning that comes along with that from Roth.
Yeah, I loved the whore bonding scene.
Whore bonding was awesome.
Whore bonding was amazing.
We're trademarking that one.
Yeah, well, you can trademark that. You came up with that. But I love that scene, because Roz is the only character that's an invention of this series, And it was great to see her do something other than be naked exposition lady, where she just
does
receives.
it so well, though.
She does it very well. She gets naked and receives information very well. But right here, I liked the moment where they talked about how difficult it was for them to rise up in this world, because of all of the people of Westeros, do we really get that much of a window into that side of it, the sort of underbelly? No, we're usually with the big players and the heavy hitters. I liked that moment a lot for that reason.
It was a really nice moment, and then the ominous overtone of saying, watch out for Sansa with that Littlefinger guy.
Yeah, and Sansa, she's gotten so much flack over the last couple of years, and I understand why, and she's still not quite there yet, but she really is a lot more savvy now than she was initially.
Oh yeah.
I mean, everything that's true is either awful or boring.
Yes.
I mean, kind of.
Let's go over to Beyond the Wall. Jon Snow is now sort of right in the thick of it. He is brought into the Wildlings camp and meets a much talked about character finally.
And also, frankly, okay, we'll get to Mance Rayder, but giants.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about the fact that what the series has done so brilliantly, and it's been said a million times, is weave in these supernatural elements. But man, it's really going for it already in just that first episode of this season. I'm very excited to see that. They're
sort of using Beyond the Wall as a place to introduce a lot of these elements out of Westeros in general. That's where the dragons are out of Westeros. Yeah. And now Beyond the Wall, we're getting to, we already have seen, the White Walkers, all this stuff going on.
And Melisandre, she's a foreigner as well, and she brought in an element of that. But Mance Rayder, let's talk about that initial meeting. What was so great about that is that I think it gave sort of a sense of the politics of this world and sort of how the free people / wildlings see themselves in comparison to the people of the south of Westeros / the kneelers. And the fact that his instinct was to kneel before a king, and they're just laughing at him, I thought was so revelatory about the differences in how they think. They choose their king. Their king's not born. They choose to follow Mance Rayder because they need to, or they'll die.
And, Jon is obviously still in a precarious place. He's gone so far to prove himself, but Mance Rayder is still, obviously keeping an eye on him.
Yeah, and I think that the dynamic between them is already quite strong, just between the two actors. And that's going to continue to grow.
And then we briefly saw Sam, who, you know, was in great danger last we saw him. He was saved, you know, poor guy. But, you know, he's going with the Night's Watch back to the Wall and has been so separated from Jon and everyone else. And you're hoping for Sam to sort of get his...
I love this character, so I just want to see more of him, and I want to see him continue to grow. He's so honest about who he is and sort of the idea of him as a coward, but he's not. He continues to metal up and meet the challenges. Metal up, I don't even know if that's a thing. But he continues to meet the challenges again and again. I just love watching him.
Oh yeah, I should say get his moment, not get his. Like, you know, because I love Sam. And then, you know, we briefly touched upon a couple other characters. We saw Robb and Cat just a little bit, but, you know, clearly things not going well with them still.
Yeah, I mean, he's had to sort of, I mean, really as a political move, and also maybe a little bit as that Stark, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
He's had to take his mother prisoner, you know, and it's a very fascinating dynamic between them because they've both done, frankly, very stupid things for the good of the army, for the good of their cause, for the good of the war for the North. They've both made mistakes, and watching that start to develop and unfold is an interesting thing. She's the one that's in prison for it now, but he, in that marriage, that was a very risky move.
Oh yeah, he's put a lot of things in a lot of trouble by doing that. And then, you know, Davos, another character, I think, you just like the guy. He just seems like a good person. And
the Onion Knight.
The Onion Knight. And when he got back, you know, when he was brought back to Stannis and Melisandre, I thought it was pretty interesting that he's pretty lippy with Melisandre, which I think might be pretty dangerous for him.
I think so too. I mean, he did get a little lippy, but what's interesting is that she didn't immediately call for him to be killed, right? So obviously she knows she needs him for some reason, you know?
Right.
And because she's also a very calculated character, you know, and very magical, as we know. And I think that Stannis right now is so totally lost. He just doesn't know what to do, and he's shutting everyone else out because he's lost, and it's been devastating.
And you wonder, it's like maybe she needs him, but also maybe she knows maybe this would be going too far for Stannis. She has Stannis wrapped around her finger, but maybe just instantly saying, we'll kill this guy that Stannis clearly respects. She can't do that quite yet.
Yeah, and let's not forget that she sees glimpses of the future, supposedly in the fires.
Yeah. Now let's get over to everything everyone wants to talk about. Last but not least at all, some dragons.
Dragons!
Yes.
I was so excited. The dragons are growing. I feel like I love
They're adorable.
They're adorable. I feel like I love these dragons just as much as Dany does. It's a little weird on my part.
Right.
But they're not big enough, as she says. And I think that Dany's whole journey, I love this character. This is maybe my favorite character on the series. I don't know, besides Tyrion, of course. But I think her whole journey has been, it's trial by fire, you know, about leadership, just constant trial by fire, by fire, by fire. But it's like the elements of the world, if you know, in the world of this show, are making her, honing her into a leader that can go back to Westeros and all of these challenges that she's facing. And right now, here's another moral challenge. Do I get this army of slaves? I don't believe in slavery, 8,000 babies dead, or do I not, and find another way? This is a new challenge for her. Which one really is a show of strength?
And in the midst of that, because we met the Unsullied, this sort of amazing army that will do whatever she wants if she becomes their new owners, I will just say nipple slicing, that was an uncomfortable moment to watch.
I could not watch it. I really couldn't. It was so horrible to even conceive of someone doing that to another human being.
Yeah.
Also, as if she's not in enough danger, here come the warlocks again after her. And frankly, they're rude because they have no right to be angry. They were the one that tried to steal her dragons. You're rude.
And they sent the creepy little girl, the worst thing you can say.
The creepy little girl with it was a warlock in the guise of a creepy little girl, which is frankly the worst horror archetype. Yes. The creepy little white girl.
But she was saved, and by a character that, you know, I'm curious people who haven't read the books and whatnot might have had a moment of, huh? With, which is she was saved by Sir Barristan Selmy, someone we have not seen since season 1, and I think maybe early or at least the middle of season 1.
I think what's cool about his reappearance is that, we talked about this earlier, it ties Dany back to Westeros.
Yeah.
It shows that she does still have a link and a tie to Westeros, that there are people there that are thinking of her, that there's a reason for them to think of her now. With Joffrey in the leadership position, why wouldn't you consider any other option? And of course, Joffrey did kick him out of the Night's Guard.
And that's kind of cool because, you know, we all hate Joffrey.
Picard, pardon me.
We hate Joffrey.
Hate.
So the fact that this guy has his own vendetta against Joffrey, you know, that can only be good news because he's a very capable person, obviously.
Oh man, the Joffrey hate train is so enjoyable to be on.
Let us know what you think. It was obviously a very busy premiere. There was a lot of ground to cover. Are you very excited about what's to come this season? Are you excited about more dragons? Let us know. We'll be back next week, guys. Thanks.